Hey everybody, this is John with Proficient Mower. Today we're working again on the Troy bilt that I picked up for 150 bucks off the yard sale site. We're getting ready to pull the carb. I'm going to show you basically how to pull the carb on this Briggs intek motor, and we're going to also check to see if the needle and seat are the needle and the inlet valve are are sealing good, because a lot of times that's the main reason why you'll end up with gas in your crankcase, and if you don't realize it, it'll end up blowing the engine. We'll get to that in a few. So this is a Briggs intek engine, and last video I shot, we went ahead and changed the starter. So today we're going to remove this carburetor here, and I'm going to show you how to remove it and check, basically make sure that the carb is the carburetor is not allowing gas to get down in the crankcase. If it is, then usually you have to go ahead and you replace the needle and the inlet valve, which is pressed in. On a lot of these it's a brass valve. It depends on which carburetor it is. There's Walbro carburetors for these and Nicky carburetors. So, okay, first thing we're going to do is you got to get the carburetor loose. It's a 3/8 socket. You just put that on here and break that loose right there. And like I said, I paid about $150 for this lawnmower. It sat for over a year. I put a $35 or $31 new starter on it off of eBay, and we did get it to turn over finally. So what we're going to do now is, before we start throwing gas in it and firing it up, is you want to check this carburetor out. And also, I've been gunking the motor, just trying to clean it up and get it ready. Hopefully I'll have it ready to sell within the next month or so. Set this here. Here we go. So once you undo these two here, the carburetor will be pretty much free to come out. So go ahead and remove this other bolt right there. It's just 2 3/8 bolts. Set that there. Now it's free. So the next thing I'll do is I'll remove my fuel line. Just need to get a pair of pliers. Here we go. Get in and pinch right there. You can pull that clamp back further. And this fuel line's in really, really bad shape, so we're gonna replace at least some of it. I brought some extra fuel line out. I could tell just by looking at it how bad a shape it was in. So get in here like that, pinch that, slide this down off of that nipple. But you see how this fuel line's coming apart, so you just want to spin that loose at this point. There we go. Once that's loose, see how this fuel line's coming apart? This is really bad. Fuel line's just worn. You can see all the braids in it right there and stuff. So we're gonna replace that. So set this here, set that there. Yeah, it's torn up. You can see how bad it is. This tractor, I think, is sat outside too, so I was expecting to have to do some work on it, but for 150 with the bagger kit, it was still a good deal. Also, unhook your wire here. This is for your fuel shelled off solenoid, so your anti-backfire. So you want to undo that there. You got to keep track of where your linkages go. So your linkage is going to run here, runs into the very first hole. This one's not too complicated. This here has a couple holes. Your choke, so you know it runs into the first, and it comes in here. So what happens is, once you throw it up and choke, it bumps that. So you'll undo this one first right here, like this, and you could take that out like it just came out right here. I'll set that aside. And you take this one here and turn the carburetor to lift it up. Here we go, it's starting to come now. Fuel line's breaking off too, so that's okay. This fuel line's terrible. Let's try to disconnect this fuel line right here at there. See if that'll work. There we go. Turn, turn. Here we go, right there. Pop that off, pop that off. There you go. Now your carburetor is pretty much free, besides this fuel line. And usually with good fuel line, it'll pop off no problem. Now your carburetor's free. So now we can further check into the carb, see what's going on. We'll try to clean it up a little bit first. Really dirty and nasty. Let's see. Just gonna take some carburetor cleaner and just spray it a little bit. There we go. That'll help us get it cleaned up some. And it also helps you find your identification numbers on the carb. So, with your ID numbers, right here you can ID your carburetor. That right there, let's see here, it'll give you your numbers here in case you need to. A lot of times they're either Walbro or Nicky carburetors. This one's going to be a Walbro because the Nickies usually have a screw here and a screw here holding the bowl on, so this one's probably most definitely a Walbro carb. And now the fun part will be getting in here to loosen up this anti-shut-off solenoid. I don't know if we have a wrench that's thin enough to get in. Sometimes you need, yep, right there, Walbro. It says Walbro. It's either LMA, LMT, one or the other. Let's clean it up and take a look. One thing, I don't hear the float. I don't hear the float hammering up and down. So that's really not a good sign. It's probably pretty gummed up, being that it sat outside. I wouldn't be surprised if this carb doesn't need to be fully rebuilt. We'll find out in a few. Let's see. I don't know if we'll be able to get a wrench in there or not. We can try. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be really tight. So this is a Walbro. Does it say on here LMA or LMT? Mexico. This whole engine's so caked with oil. Briggs. LMT right there. See that right there? LMT. That's how you know what it is. this here. Oh, empty. See if we can get in here with these and try to just grab it and turn it. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can't. Yep, nope. I think needle nose are going to get in there. You're going to need a thin wrench. Oh, hold on till we get something. Nope. It's going to either be a really thin pair of pliers or a wrench. Gravy train. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a pair of pliers or a wrench that we need, a real thin one. And as soon as I get that, I'll come back out and we'll go ahead and continue recording and get that bowl loose so we can check out the carb, right? Again, this is John with Proficient Mower, and I'll be back in a few.